Designers, a lot of you at this point might be wondering, several of you have actually come and asked, how does this work after we get done with this intro stuff? What is class going to be like? Here's a little idea of what that will look like. Right now, you don't have access to very much of the website. The Getting Started page just probably opened up this third column for you. Before that, you didn't even see that there were 3 columns. And your list of maps probably only has 5 items. Getting started and what's new are the introduction pieces for brand new people and those who've been here before. And then design thinking, sketching, and your collection. If you haven't taken a look at your collection, by the way, you should have when you got the one from Kai. There was a hint to go look at that collection. And that's where that is. So if you haven't taken a look there yet, go do that. But then if we go look at the design thinking map, this column's under construction and everything's all locked. There's a few other things you could work on right now, but there's not a lot of hint as to how this is going to work long term. And if we go back to the Getting Started map and we take a look over here, you can't get to these columns yet. If I switch modes into admin mode, you'll see that in the view that I'm at, there's 4 columns on this once it updates. And the reason that that is the way it is has to do with the unlocking feature. This website is actually quite deep. There's a lot of stuff here that you don't see to start with because it would feel a little overwhelming to come in and have more than half a dozen maps and columns of material on every page. So it only unfolds and gets deeper as you start working in it. So I just wanted to point out that it's not all there to start with. You're not seeing everything. And so have patience with yourself. As you work through things, more and more of this will unfold. And let's go take a look at the What's New map, because there's a link here in the self-directed learning section. I actually don't remember which one of these quests has the image that I'm looking for. Nope, that's not it. It must be the Mario framework. Here's the image I was looking for. This is a sketch image of what our weeks will look like. Most of our weeks will come in pairs, and I consider them 5 classes. One week we have Monday and Wednesday. The other week we have Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday. And within that 5-class cycle, we'll start out every day with a daily starter. That's another map that you don't see yet. It will turn on next week, and it will have just a quick 5-6 minute exercise in creativity to start the day. Maybe it'll be a little bit about design and new development in design, or maybe an area of design that you may or may not know about. For example, in the car design field, there is a job where all they do is sculpt the cars out of clay, the car ideas in life size. Clay sculptor for car models is a real job. There's lots of stuff like that in the design world that you might not know about yet. And I'll put little introductions about that, tasters, teasers, that sort of thing. And creativity exercises and design thinking exercises and other stuff that takes just a few minutes to transition between everything else and thinking about design. That's the start of the day. Again, that'll be 5 to 6 minutes. It shouldn't take very long. And if you're taking a lot of time doing that every day, you need to move faster with it. It should just be a transition period. And then on the Mondays, when we start the 5-day cycle, or the 5-class cycle, it's not just days, I'd like you to start out with looking at your personalized learning plan. And that will actually be mentioned in the daily starter for Mondays. Take a look back and reflect. And in the columns that are coming, we'll talk about that in more detail. And then at the end of the 5-week cycle on Thursdays, we'll end with a designer roundtable to start the day. We'll have a chance to close our laptops, stay out of NOLAT Labs for just a bit, and talk as a design team. What are you experiencing as a designer? Some people bring challenges that they're running into to the table, and they get the team to share ideas and maybe brainstorm. How can we get around this? Or what inspirations do you have for me? I'm stuck. That sort of challenge can come to the table. Sometimes people bring things that they've succeeded at, and they bring a model or a demonstration or an example of what they built, and we celebrate the success that they've had. Some people bring really neat things that they've discovered. And did you guys know about this really cool blah, blah, blah that I just found out about? All kinds of things can come to the design roundtable, and we share as a group. And it's also a chance to practice those group skills. How do you talk and how do you behave in a group? It's a very key skill when you get into the bigger world, because almost everything that we do out in the big world of life is in a group. We rarely do things solo all the time. And so knowing those group skills is very helpful. The rest of the time, you'll see every day there's time called workshop time on the schedule. And those are times when you work in NOLAT Labs. Maybe you work on some of those design thinking quests. Maybe you practice your sketching skills. Those are both core for any kind of designer. In addition to that, you'll pick a discipline. That might be CAM and CAD, using the computer to design, and then one of the machines like the laser cutter or the 3D printer to manufacture something. It might be graphic design. It might be coding. It might be woodworking. It might be video production. Whichever discipline you're in, you'll work to begin with through the basics. And that's part of NOLAT Labs. There'll be quests to guide you through learning the fundamentals of your skills. Once you've gotten the fundamentals, you'll run into a quest called the Apprentice Project. And that's where you put something together under your control to show that you know those skills. Once you've earned the Apprentice Project and you have the Apprentice badge in any one of the disciplines, the quests open up and more of the map unfolds. And you then have permission to work in more depth and more detail within that discipline and design quests and projects of your own to develop your skills. There'll still be quests that guide you and help you further develop your skills, but you know enough now to start designing things yourself and set projects up that you want to do. And that's true of all of those discipline skills. In addition to that workshop time, I'll use some of that time every class. You'll see these one-to-one sessions. And I'll talk with students one-on-one about where you're at and what do you want to do next and how can I help you get there? What's your next learning goal? And then finally, we'll have a little bit of time at the end of class to clean up. And if you want to post a reflection on your blog where you're at, a reminder to yourself of what you want to do and how to get started next class, or a reflection of what happened. These are all really good practices as designers that we encourage. And that's what a day in design tech will look like normally.